Good evening, everybody. Greetings and blessings. This is yours truly, Empress Chassie Warrington, aka All That Chaz, aka the Slayer. Sorry, I'm running a little behind schedule. I had a little physical complications with my health. But going to be talking about this is the part two, the history of misogynism. And we know that this world pretty much has been built on misogynism. Are you guys hearing the feedback? I can hear a feedback. I don't know why I'm hearing the feedback. But well, like let me see. This, let me exit this out. Make sure everybody can see and hear me well. Okay. I don't know for some reason will not mute out this sound. Anywho, hopefully it's not feedback. But we all know the history of misogynism. When I was talking about it before, how back in the medieval days, in the days of you know the 1300s, 1400s, excuse me, how um, the Caucasus and the Greeks and the Celtics, how they and the Romans, they really had a problem with women in authority. Um, Even though, you think about when you go all the way back to Kemet, because that's the thing, you can't understand misogynism until you go back to the history of Kemet, where, we had so many different African queens that actually was running, countries in Africa, like Ghana, for instance, Ghana, I believe it was Lydia. Then we had, of course, the Ethiopian queen. We had the Cleopatra. Then we had um, stop, boy, stop. Sorry, my rabbit doing the most. Queen Nefertiti. We had all of these different queens, and because the male that the intruders that came in, they were not able to manipulate them. Um, but they were able to manipulate the men. See, that's the thing with the history that they don't like to tell us about. Um, but this is something that this is going to be a the history of it. We will really have to go really deep in depth into it to really get a clear understanding. So I'm going to be doing even more research and just trying to get you guys at least some content or some links that you guys can go to and read the information for yourself. Because if I just stayed on the history of misogynism, it'll go all the way through probably till April or May. And I don't want to stay on just the history of misogynism or just touching basis on it, just to give you guys an idea where it came from and how it became so prevalent, particularly in pretty much all nations. It used to be a time where in Kemet, which is now Africa, they really value African queens, where the women was really adorned. There was no one husband with multiple wives, as people may think and believe. It was not like that. They did have concubines, and a lot of people are under the impression that they had relations, sexual relations with these concubines. Who knows? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But as far as having the wives, that wasn't it. That didn't come into play until the Celtic came in and the Roman Greeks and all of that. They believed in being able to have multiple women like we were, that we should be beneath them because of the way their bodies are built naturally in comparison to ours, which men bodies are like 30, are naturally 30 to 40% more muscle content than ours by naturally. So with that stated, there was a big situation, And it all clashed to the point where um, the intruders were able to do a lot of manipulation of the male counterparts, that of the queens, and manipulate them and brainwash them, and so now we're here. But the history of misogynism has always excused men's inappropriate behaviors, and being a woman, this is the thing. Like, I hate when a male try to tell a female, no, men are not like that. No, that's not guys are. When majority of the men that we have ever came in contact with, majority of the men, even from our own fathers, grandfathers, uncles, male cousins, it's not because it's a strange man. No, it's just that this energy has been put out there in atmosphere where, and it's been socialized, and it's also been accepted, and it's also been a rule, pretty much like they have made it into a rule of the universe when it's not the rule of the universe. Because let's be realistic, if we really want to go deep into history, remember, women, we didn't need men to procreate. If you really want to go all the way back to the chromosomes and stuff, let's not go there. Okay, science has 100% proven it. That's why even still to date, there are certain species of animals that can convert, especially particularly mammals, or sea creatures. They can convert to, even if amphibians, some amphibians and insects can transform from male to female. They can pretty much sex themselves and don't need a male, a separate male body to impregnate them or to help them, get eggs and stuff. They can produce themselves. So if we really want to go there, let's go there. But I'm just stating that um, this has been a long history of where we have been taught wrong for so long. And that's why it's so important for people to always research your information. Even me, I try to provide links, resources to give people jump start so that they can have somewhere to start from, to start researching for themselves. But a lot of people don't like to search out information for themselves. They just want to go by what they hear somebody say, or because it may sound good to them, or it may make sense to them, then they will just go along with it. But you have to also think about the psychology of social manipulation. The psychology of social manipulation is a whole nother topic, but it does coincide into the way, informing the way a person thinks, how people see how people see things, visualize things, how they receive things, how they reject things. Because when something has been embedded in you for so many years or for so long, and you're told this is how you're supposed to think, this is what you're supposed to eat, this is how you're supposed to act, this is how you're supposed to be, blah blah blah. You get into, it's not even a routine or a creature habit, but it's like you become tamed and trained real good to the point where you don't even realize you're tamed and trained in something. You're just thinking, oh, this is just the way of life. This is just my culture, or this is just my upbringing. This is just how, it is, how it is in our family. This is how, and most people would tell you, this is what I was taught. I was taught this in my family. My family taught me this. And okay, well, who taught your family? Who taught them? And then who taught the ones who taught them? And so you got to really understand the psychology of sociology. Okay, it goes so deep, but again, that's another topic. So let's get back to the history of misogynism. With the history of misogynism, because these women were so powerful, and the fact that they did not look anything like them, they had a big issue with it, and they didn't understand how these women, and it was also of where the jealousy, where the women, their women, start becoming jealous because they're looking at these African queens and they're not living like that. They're not able to have the the diamonds and the gold and the rubies and the minerals, and their skin isn't like they have to put stuff on their skin to protect themselves from the radiation of the heat. And so it was just a lot of different things that went along with the misogynism building up. It didn't just happen overnight, but it did happen. Now this is what I when I did do research, I kind of, as we know, they don't always give you all of the answers, and sometimes you don't find all of the answers, especially concretely. But with common sense, you can put two and two together. It's just like how you could be in the same room with a person, and you can feel a vibe by from them. Say it was two people and three people, including you, and the two people, they're sitting around and they're talking about you, and you can feel that vibe, you can feel that negative energy, and you know that they're talking negatively about you, and so you can kind of like look at the side, and they'll kind of look at you side eye, seeing it, and they'll be like, they looking at corner of their eyes because they know they're really talking about you and stuff in a bad way. Because if you're talking about somebody in a good way, you're not going to want to be whispering about it. Let's just be realistic. Only if you're whispering and talking about someone, that's because either you're planning a surprise party for them that you not want them to know about, or you got a surprise and you're telling the person about it, and or you're talking bad about it. Because I never see nobody whisper to somebody else. I mean, like really engage in conversation, whispering somebody else about somebody, unless they're bad talking, bad mouthing them. But you can get a vibe. So when you start doing these researches and you start seeing the information, you'll notice there are some gaps. But with common sense, we can put those gaps together. The women of the invaders start becoming attracted to the men in Kemet. They start being attracted to these Kemet men. They love their bone structure. They like the fact that they were just naturally muscular and toned and have this athletic built, and how they're so agile, how they can run, and it embarrassed them. So of course that's when that's also a different topic, but that's how when the invaders went in and they befriended, and next thing you know, they start dominating certain parts and colonizing Africa, certain countries of Africa using guns. Yeah, the Africans, different tribes, they had their spears, they had their shoots and stuff, and their blowers and stuff, but that's no comparison to a gun. Let's just be realistic. A bullet travels much faster. I mean, those things, by the time they get it, I'm sorry, the bullet done culture. So you've got to think about that again, the psychology. People go by, they see a person with a weapon, and this weapon is able to shoot faster than they're able to get their weapons together. Their bow and arrows, their blows, their shoots, their spears. By the time they get it to go back to even try to throw it, the bullet already hit them. So you got to think about that. That's going to be very scary and intimidating. So it's easy to get control and gain control. Proven fact. You have an armed bank robber. Give you one person go into a bank. Yeah, you can always just more than likely may have somebody that may try to be reward. But the realization is that one person, because they're armed and they're dangerous, they are able to subdue a whole building of people and bring them to their command. So imagine having an army of people, invaders, with these guns, and you got, let's just say it was 10,000 invaders, and then there's 100,000 natives. The natives, yes, they may have their spears and stuff, but then you got these 10,000 that have cannons, they have guns and rifles, and they're on horses. So if you think about it, and I know a lot of people be like, but still, it was still more. It doesn't matter if there's more in numbers when your weapon is no match for the fewer people's weapon. As they say, you can't bring a knife to a gunfight. Some people are very proficient with throwing knives. I'm one of them. I throw the hell out of a knife. But I know that a knife and a gun battle are not the same. Now, it all depends because some people are very, they're very good. Like, they do that actually in certain parts of Africa. That's where China got it from. So don't get that twisted either. Again, like I stated, the history of misogynism goes so deep, it would take months to really get into it. But I had to bring that up so that you want to give you guys some thought process, make you guys think and marinate some things in your thoughts and go and do your own research and everything about misogynism. Hi, how are you, Adrienne? Oh, yeah. So, when you think about the history of misogynism, it has been where men have been told and have been given permission to be disrespected by nations, by leaders of nations. And it has just been a worldwide thing where you have it in pretty much every country. You have it in India, you have it in Arabia, you have it in Iran and Iraq, you have it in all of these different countries. And a lot of people are like, well, if that's the case, then why do Europe have Queen Elizabeth? Why is she? Because her dad had money. And see, you got that's another thing with the history of misogynism. Remember, you women got their status based on the wealth of their dad and their status. So if their dad was not rich, then they didn't have a status. That's why, excuse me, even back then it was so much killing. And I hate to say it, but a lot of the European women, Caucasus women, they would kill not just other women, but they would also kill their husbands and or their dads when they find out that they are the heir to whatever fortunes and riches they have because they wanted to get control of that. So it's a lot of arsenic poisoning back then, and remember they didn't have the best medical um, examinations and treatments and things like they have now with the testing, the advanced testing and stuff where they can pick it up really quick. It wasn't like that back in those days. And so it was really easy for a woman to kill her husband or her dad or her brother, whoever she needed to kill to get, become heir of the estate, the wealth. So women not a lot of times got their status only based on the wealth and the status of their dad. So, with that stated, there was a lot of competition, and it's still like that even now, where women compete for no good men. You're fighting over a man that just that he just cheated on his girlfriend or his wife, and some women are perfectly fine with that. Again, the psychology. Also, and that's another subject we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the psychology of misogynism to women. That's going to be in season. It's going to be season 1, but it'll be episode 4 or episode 5. So stay tuned for that because we're going to be. That's going to be coming up. The psychology of misogynism, misogynism's effect on women, and that's why a lot of women, you have more and more women that are accepted and has no qualms and have no conscience about messing with a married man or being with a man in a relationship with another woman or as they say being a homewrecker. They have no qualms about it. They see it as a status for them because this all is seen from misogynism, and so it goes so much deeper. Yeah, that really is crazy. Hey, Shatima. So, um, with the history of misogynism, remember the men controlled everything. Women, even if they had their own business, they couldn't have a business unless their husband or their dad allowed them to. Women were not allowed to. Remember, we couldn't be judges, we couldn't be on the jury, we couldn't have any kind of political role, any kind of powerful position or role. We were not allowed to have that powerful position and role. And again, the only reason Queen Elizabeth was able to get become queen is because her dad, if you guys research history, remember he was one of the ones that had the first ship to go and kidnap a lot of West Africans and bring them to Europe for them to enslave and do free labor, which the United States is pretty much has been established on the free labor, not just Europe, but also here in the United States has been built upon free labor. And that's why they still to date have an economical and financial advantage over melanin people, and we see this everywhere we go. It doesn't matter what state we go to, we can see this regardless that they still are ahead because even with companies, they will hire, they would rather hire the white person or the European person versus the melanin person who has better skill set and talent, or they don't want to support them because they don't want to build help us build up and become the dominant force. So of course they're going to do everything they can to try to keep us down under. Let's just be realistic about that. But again, misogynism has shaped and molded and controlled all of these things. Look at the nation. We've had nothing but males running this country, this USA, nothing but males. And look at the country is in. So this is, and again, number 45, because of his wealth, because of who his granddad is, because of who his dad is, he got status. He didn't get status because he made the and earned the finances himself. No, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. So and Abraham Lincoln, remember, he gave all of the European immigrants over five. He divided. He gave 500 million acres of USA land, even land that was supposed to be cultivated, protected for the natives. They just gave the land away. Look at what happened with South Dakota pipeline. How they killed these people, these indigenous people, to take their land because of their wealth that's on that land. So this have always been a dominant situation by misogynists. And they just have constantly done this over and over and over and over again. Yeah, and insecurity, that's right. So it's so the history of misogynism has really profoundly affected the shaping of nations worldwide in so many facets. And because of that attitude, men have become comfortable with being disrespectful to women. They feel as if they are obligated to be disrespectful. I mean, you think about the peer pressure that guys be under. You can have five guys together, and they can have sisters. All of them can have sisters. They don't see sisters, and then you see their mom be beaten and disrespected by men. They can see it, but they'll still turn around and do way worse, or the exact same thing that those men did to their own mothers and or their sisters or grandmothers. Why do you feel? Why do you think that a lot of men can be comfortable being just bluntly disrespectful like that to a woman for no reason when they know the effect that it has had on women and they have no care about it? You know why? Because one of the reasons is with misogynism, their psychology. of misogynism for women, women have become very subtle and very submissive. We and I know growing up, I was taught to be very submissive. It's even in spiritual books. Who y'all think wrote these spiritual books? And you think about a lot of the spiritual books, they're very sexist. You know, they do have a little discrimination in there against women. You know, biasness in there. You know, women obey your husband as he obeys the Lord, and um, a man he can divorce his wife if he gets tired of her, but a wife cannot leave her husband, and she leaves her husband, divorce her husband, it's committing adultery. But then they came back though. I want you all to remember they double back on that, where now there's a passage where it states that if a man leaves his wife that and he be with somebody else that he also commits adultery. And that's even after divorce. Like once you divorce, that you still consider committing adultery. Where you think all of this foolishness came from? Like, let's just be realistic about this. Nobody's going to stay with somebody who's beating on them and abusing them, belittling them, putting them down. So if a, and because that was a way to control women, and they use religion a lot, misogynism cause is is the creator of religion. And that's another, I'm telling you, now that topic right there, that was going to ruffle a lot of feathers. I'm going to get a lot of heat with that, especially from any religion. I'm going to get a lot of heat, a lot of pushback with that. But it nevertheless is the truth. Why you don't you rarely see any books in there that's written in the Bible that's written by women, and the ones that are allegedly supposedly being written by women like Ruth and Esther, it's really not written by them. So, uh, the truth hurts. And that's why a lot of people don't like to deal with the truth. They rather be defensive, they rather put their guard, so they rather argue, they rather, not want to hear what you say, they rather try to overtalk you or, try to throw insults or whatever. I don't argue when once a person show me that they're not going to even bother to research or entertain the truth that I'm bringing to them and I'm showing them proof of it. I don't. There's nothing else I could do. I let them be. I'm not going to argue with nobody, especially about religion or anything, because there's never a win when it comes to that. Never, because people are strong in their faith, and especially if they have prayed or they have worshipped a particular in a particular faith, and it seems to have worked for them because they things in their lives are going good, and they honestly feel it's because of their faith. Because oh well, I prayed and this happened, not realizing that with the universal law, period, what you put out, energy that you put out, the faith that you put out is what you receive. That don't have anything to do with religion. That was happening even before religion was established. Remember, religion didn't really become established until what, the 1300s. So what was going on before then? Before religion actually became religion. Like, let's be truthful about that. I'm not talking about spirituality. See, when you go back after, um, if you go back before the 13, 1200s, you see a lot where they talk about it's more of cultures and tribes, and because in other words, they're putting down people who did practice like Dr. Sebi, how he practiced holistic. They looked at that as it's being witchcraft or voodoo and stuff, because things would happen when certain people would misuse it. People misuse stuff all the time, but it doesn't mean because somebody misused something that it doesn't work. So that's why for me, I don't really get into discussions too much with people about religion, um, because it's always the same. It's always the same. You know, I don't feel like I have the right to try to convert anybody, and I don't believe in converting anybody. That's not me. But I do believe that we have an obligation, if we're going to be practicing something, that we should learn about it. Just like when you go on a job, you want to find you learn about your benefits, You learn about your pay, how you get paid. You learn all these things, right? So why is it that when it comes to your spirituality, you don't want to learn the history of it, where it come from? You got people, they know the whole history and background of the company that they work for, but they don't even know the background and history of their spirituality. So that's a problem. Okay, Adrian, thank you. But so because of the history of misogynism, it has really created this comfort level with men where they feel comfortable and confident in this respect to women. They feel as if that is part of manhood because that's what's been taught to them for centuries after generation after generation. And but at the same time, there's things that we as women have been taught that was wrong, um, like being a harlot. Remember they had the brothels and the women was harlots and stuff. That's going to be on next. I'm going to talk about that Thursday. We're going to be talking about the capitalism uh, of misogynism on women, capitalizing off women due to misogynism. We're going to be talking about that. I think it's going to be this Thursday. But in a nutshell, to try to wrap up the history of misogynism, which I know I'm going to have to backpedal on this particular topic. I'm going to need more than two parts because I already did a part one. Part two, I think I'm going to have to probably just do a series on it because it's so much information that goes into, it's so much history that goes into the development and creation of misogynism that, we can't just push it all in just one show. So with my Let's Talk People show, for those who didn't know, this is my talk show is called Let's Talk People. So let's talk people. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to misogynism. Um, but it has pretty much given guys a green light to be disrespectful, but yet it's still right from wrong. It's just like just because you're in a gang or because you're dad or maybe this big drug lord or maybe the governor of a state or whatever. Some people feel like they just do stuff and get away with it because they don't feel like there's no consequences, not serious consequences. And one thing about men do not care about no woman walking away from them. They don't care about no woman getting mad at them, leaving them. They really don't care about that. The only reason they will care is if they really truthfully love her or if there's something that he benefits from her that he know no other woman more than likely is going to give him or tolerate from him. But other than and then also it's an ego booster too. It could be where, okay, look, I got this woman wrapped around my finger. I can treat her like a dog. I can cuss her out. I can talk to her any kind of way. I can cheat on her. I can use manipulativeness on her and she'll still stay with me. She'll stay by my side. All I got to do is tell her what she wants to hear. And that's what they'll do. They're going to tell you what they want to hear because the history of misogynism has grown men to be that way. And they feel like it's okay, even though they know it's wrong. But because they feel like, well, they know that it just as quick as they walk out their door or the woman kick them out, their woman, significant other, or wife kick them out, there's going to be like 4 or 5, 10 women waiting to lay up with them. Men know this, and they use it to their advantage. And so it kind of puts you as a woman, you kind of feel like, well, dang, that's why with the sociology, with the psychology of misogynism to women affects on women, that mindset, that's why a lot of women just concede. And they just feel like that's just how men are. This is how men is. No, they have a choice, just like we have a choice. Because if we go out there and just have sex with random guys, we're called whores, thieves, H's. We call all these derogatory names slut, all this stuff, right? But guys can do it. And they get pound, they be like, you the man, like, hey, boy, so you be killing it. Like, they get praises for it. And then you got some females, when they like guys like that because they see it as for them, it's an ego booster for the woman to see this man and to feel like she can take him from another woman is to her, she feels empowered. Again, the psychology of misogynism effect on women. That's going to be coming up in episode 4 or 5. I'm probably going to have to do both. Do well part one and a part two of that as well, like I'm doing with the history of misogynism. But I'm telling you, you just think about a lot. We see it. We see it all the time. Me personally, there's a lot of things that we can use as excuses to get away to do wrong. But when we know right from wrong, it's no longer it's not an excuse. It's a conscious choice and decision. Even with the systematic oppressions and stuff, I know there's a lot out there because I I'm a melanin woman in America with a melanin son in America, with dreadlocks. So he has dreadlocks. I have afro. You think I don't understand this systemic oppression, and especially economically, financially, educationally? I have experienced it. I go through it. I've been through it, you know. So I'm not in denial about it, but I had a choice. I could use that as an excuse to be reckless and careless with my life, to be destructive with my life, to become a criminal, to become, a bad person. Or I could have used it as motivation to make me more determined to not become a statistic. A statistic. That's what I chose to do. So I hate when people try to use, well, this is misogynism. That's the way we've been taught. So that's all I know. That's all you choose to know, you can learn. You can learn more. You can unlearn. Just like you learn, you can unlearn. Now, true enough, it's not going to be as easy to unlearn, but it's only not easy to unlearn something if you're not really committed and willing to unlearn. When you don't want to be better and do better, then yes, the bad stuff that you learn will be hard and difficult for you to unlearn when you really don't want to let it go and you want to really stay like that. Let's just be realistic about it. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this commercial right quick. This commercial is from Yardi Organic Products. Um, I want you guys to go to their website. I mean, not the website, sorry. Follow them on Instagram and on Facebook and get you some natural organic products and supplies and let them know that you heard about them on the Let's Talk People show by Empress Chai C. Warmington.
With more and more harmful chemicals being added to foods and products, it is essential to start organifying your lifestyle by ordering natural organic skin and hair products like the charcoal scrub and hair growth serum from Yardi Organic Products that's reaching you naturally. Follow Yardi Organic Products on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for your support.
Okay, thank you guys for watching that. Now I'm going to play another commercial. And it's going to be about Z Entertainment Network and our services. And also, you want to make sure that you get your live stream ads, on a platform, that has over 300 million subscribers and followers. So, that's what I live stream on platforms that have way more subscribers than that. So make sure you go ahead and place your live stream ads. And it's very reasonable.
Z Entertainment Networks is a multicultural and diverse world in one place, has celebrity supporters, and provides various entertainment services like branding, hosting, speaking, press kits, live interviews, and more. Just head over to www.cheenllc.com to find out more. Thank you for your support.
Okay, thank you guys for watching. Yes, you do need to. As a matter of fact, Shatima, I need you to send me like some of your send me some jewelry and your your business information. Did you receive the email that I sent you? I sent you, Wisdom and Salonia an email. Did you guys get my email? I sent it like maybe shortly, maybe been almost 2 weeks ago now. Yes, but with misogynism, it's so much deeper just um than just men being disrespectful to women. It has created a whole dynamic of of psychology and sociology dysfunction, this formation and dysfunction in our society to the point where it's just more and more disrespect and more females, women are just conceding to it because they feel like they don't have no other option or no other choice. But that's not the truth. We do have choices, we do have options. But what happens is when a man knows that he can go out, where he can't get out of his way for girlfriend, like if he can't have his way with her, this is for the men who are like this. This is not generalizing all men because not all men are misogynist, but the ones that are misogynist, they like to have their cake and eat it too, and they feel entitled to it. They feel that that's their birthright to be disrespectful to women and to have their way with women. Some men are do honestly feel that way. So knowing and I'm gonna be honest, most misogynistic men are very charming. A lot of them are very good looking. But remember, whenever you deal with a misogynist man, he's also a narcissist. And he could be possibly even be sociopathical as well. So you got to think about that, weigh your options because the thing is, he's not going to, and a lot of women feel like, oh, well, once we get married or once we have children, he'll change. No, no, a lot of them get worse because now they feel like you're stuck because you have the child now. And even if they're married to you, that still don't stop a lot of them. Not a man who is really misogynistic and that's arrogant, which is a part of misogynistic. All of these negative attributes and characteristics are not just associated with, but is under and is part of misogynism. Is the build up and makeup on misogynism. Misogynism. Yes, I sent it to you. Check your spam because nobody responded. So my assumption is that it went in your spam mail, and I forgot to let you all know about that. So I'm sorry. I really did forget to let you guys know. Um, but yeah, so when you have a society that has been ran by misogynistic men for centuries, have nations ran by misogynistic men for centuries, it's not hard to understand why a lot of men's mentality is misogynistic and they don't even know it. You got a lot of men that don't feel like they are misogynist, and you can show them proof with their actions and things that they do and they say, and they'll still be like, "That's just how I am. That's not being misogynist. That's being a man." They're in total denial of it. So just like you got some females that are in total denial about how they are, that they're disrespectful, that they're promiscuous, and they'll just be like, well, men do it. Okay, just because you see somebody else doing something, don't mean you do it. You see somebody go and put their head in a crocodile's mouth, are you gonna go do it too? If you see somebody jump off a cliff, you gonna go do it too? I mean, just like stop trying to make excuses to justify your inappropriateness and your bad behavior and poor choices and decisions. But yeah, so we, that's why I have a group, I have two groups One is called Gentlemen of Valor. And this group is to help to help men to tap into their great attributes and characteristics about themselves, and to show them that they can be an upstanding guy and still be cool as hell, still be dope, still be fine, all of that. You know that they don't have to compromise their integrity and compromise themselves in their being just to try to appease who? Society, these people. Show me anywhere where society has paid any of your bills. Show me where you've been able to just go to society and be like, look, I got this car note that needs to be paid and society pay it. I mean, like, why are you doing all of this stuff to impress who? Is it really, or is it just for self gratification where when I honestly feel like when a person is lost, and I can say this from my own experience, when a person is lost, like they really don't know who they are in their place in the world, in society, and what they should supposed to really truthfully be doing in life, why their true purpose in this life. When they don't know that, they do all kind of crazy stuff. They Because they're trying to find their way, and a lot of times they don't want to submit. A lot of people don't like to submit to authority in the universe. God, Buddha, whoever you worship or consider as your God, your creator, is navigating you to be this way and to do things this way. But that's not what you want to do, because it's not allowing you to be controlled by your flesh and by your lust and by your under, own thoughts and ideas, which a lot of times we when we can have reckless thoughts and ideas if we are not spiritually mature, when we are not wise, when we do not have true understanding, when we do not have true knowledge about various things. We can walk the plank and act like we're going to jump. Oh, I'm a tough guy. Oh, I'm a tough girl. Oh, I'm gonna go out here. I'm gonna show them. But end up shipwrecking your life and turning good people away from you. And the thing about it is, I had to really draw myself in from abuse, because I have found myself in a pattern. And that's something that a lot of women don't want to talk about. Women find themselves in a pattern of being with emotionally abusive and psychologically and mentally and spiritually abusive men because of misogynistic mindset and tendencies and idealism and habits and ways that they adopt. Because remember, with that, it also comes arrogance comes up on in there, narcissism comes up on in there, um, pride and ego comes up under that, which we all have that to an extent. But when it controls you, that's when it becomes a problem. And a lot of people do not have control, and they don't want to acknowledge it. What they rather do is try to manipulate the situation or deflect. Instead of reflecting, they want to deflect. Oh, well, what about you? Well, you did. Well, you did. I'm not anything out about me. So why are you pointing at me? Like me personally, I'm not. I would tell a person in a minute. I have no qualms about that. That's something no ex can ever say about me, that I was denial, right? No, I would tell them, I know I'm like this. I know I have these flaws. I know I have this, but I don't allow it to dominate me where it affects my relationship with you or affects me from treating you respectfully and being respectful to you and treating you right. I don't allow it to control me. But you, on the other hand, is allowing your bad character flaws and your negative characteristics control you because it feels good. Let's just be realistic. It does feel good. It feels good when you just be carefree and curse somebody out, treat people in any kind of way, not care about it, and go on with your life like nothing. It can feel liberating, and it gives some it boosts up. It does boosts up confidence, and it makes people cocky. But see, that's the difference between confidence and cockiness. The confidence no longer is confidence; it's cockiness now, and it's no longer you know appreciation. Now it is arrogance. So we have to balance that out. But I'm getting ready because I got about 5 more minutes since I started late. I started at 9:15, and I don't want this to be more than an hour. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play two more commercials, and I really do want you guys to really just think about our actions, especially men. And I don't say this because of past relationship issues. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to stop being angry and being mad, and I had to reflect on myself instead of deflecting and looking at the persons and what they're doing. I had to reflect on myself, why I found myself in these kind of relationships and situations, and why I was tolerating it. And I had to really think about it. And I having my son, I call him my angel. Sometimes we butt heads, but not too often. But I mean, like seriously, like hardly ever we bump heads and stuff. But I think about my son and the conversations that we have. He's really mature. I mean, like he's always been that way. Like he's never just had a really childish mindset per se. He's stubborn. He's a cancer. Duh. Okay. But but his mindset, for the most part, his maturity level is just on another part. And I remember my last relationship, and I was so broken, and I was crying, and I was so vexed and stuff. And my son, he was a teenager. I think he was maybe like 15 years old at the time, 15 or 16. He came to me. He put his arms around me. He said, "Don't you?" He said, "You stop crying. Don't you be crying over no good." And he was going off. I mean, he didn't cuss or anything. He was very respectful, but he was going out to some, because don't be, because you're a good woman, because you real good to son. If he can't appreciate you and don't realize what you have, that's his loss. But don't you? He said, don't you lose yourself and lose sight of who you are. I mean, like he was literally, my son was talking to me like this, and I'm just like, but I had to I was like, wow. I told him this though. Not even just told him that, but my son has always been the type. He'll socialize once he get comfortable around you, with you if he does, because he rarely does get comfortable around people he don't know. Um, but that's just how he is. He's always have had a old man soul, like an old soul. He always have had an old soul. So when he said those things to me, I was just like, wow, this is a man in the making. This is his attitude already as a teenager. And when he grow up and he be a man, I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm letting him know that it's not okay for a man to treat a woman that way. So I couldn't go back. I couldn't keep going back to the person and trying to work it out. And I had even tried. I really did that because it was so much time. I was looking at so much time that was invested, and I didn't want the relationship to end because I didn't want it to become statistic, and and that's what we do as women. We make excuses and we try to find reasons and to justify staying or trying to make a relationship work with somebody who doesn't want to make it work and who does not care about you and who does not love you, especially not to the same capacity that you do. They don't have respect for you. like that anymore, or they probably never did, because if they really truthfully did, they would have never just took a risk of throwing it all away, or being willing and voluntarily throw it all away just for the sake of being able to be with somebody else, to have sex with other people. That's not love. That's not respect. So it was obviously infatuation that whole time. So let's be realistic about that. But we as women, we have the tendency to want to pat men on the back and try to make fix things, but it takes two in a relationship. So when my son was said those things to me, I had to make sure. I was like, I have to be strong, because I don't want him to say, well, my mom, she gave in and she went back to a man who didn't treat her right, and she was breaking her neck trying to make the relationship work. And I don't want him to feel like that's what he should expect from a woman if he did her the way I was done, you know. So I had to pull myself back. I had to get myself together. I was like, girl, snap out of it. And then that's when I just start reflecting on me instead of looking at what he did to me and how he hurt me and all this stuff. I had to look at myself and why I ignored the red flags at the very beginning before we even got into a relationship. Why I ignored them, why I swept them under the rug, why I made excuses for those to justify those red flags. Why? And that's when it was like misogynism, the psychology of misogynism's effect on women. And that's how I started this whole misogynism um, episode. So it was just really, this has been so liberating for me, and it's been so eye opening for me, but it also has given me a better understanding of men and having a little bit more compassion, because to be honest, I mean, I've always had compassion for men, but I mean even more compassion, because a lot of men really are lost, and they don't know they're lost. And when a person doesn't know they lost and you trying to tell them that they're lost, they're not going to be able to receive it and accept that. They're not going to. So we as I feel like we as women, back to the group, one of the groups that I created is called Invigorated Women of Distinctions. I created these groups like several years ago, and during my health battle crisis, and I was incognito for several years because I had to work on my health and stuff. And so I started back the groups, and part of the Invigorated Women of Distinction group is to embrace men and to let them know that they can be they have so much worth and value that they don't have to degrade or devalue anybody else, especially women, to feel that value. That's not valuing yourself. That's not even appreciating yourself and the blessing and the benefits that the universe grant you as being a man who is heterosexual that like women. And it's not to exclude homosexuals or whatever, because they have their battles too. But when it comes to misogynism, let's be realistic. It wasn't based on homosexuality. It was based on heterosexual men who just felt entitled. And let's just be realistic about it. And a lot of people have an entitlement attitude. So these groups, the Gentlemen of Valor, and I call it the Real Gov, GOV for short, and then IWD for short, which is Invigorated Women Distinction. I'm going to bring these two. I'm going to be having events in the future with the universe guidance and help to help um, men and women to balance, be more balanced with each other, and helping men understand the psychology of misogynism and help them to identify it, because if they're not able to identify it within themselves, they're not going to be able to not be that way towards women. And then women, to help them understand the psychology of misogynism's effect on women and why a lot of women think the way they do. It's like nobody don't want to set the bar high for themselves and have higher standards. Everybody just want to be like, okay, well, I'm here. I guess I'll just, you know, why why be mediocre, or why be flatline when you can be grand? Why not set the bar higher for yourself? Why not want to put yourself in a place where people can look really truthfully look up to you and admire you and be like, wow, I really want to be like her, or I really want to be like him. Not saying that we should idolize anybody. I'm not saying that by a low shot, but I'm just saying when children see us, you think about the children, people complaining about the children, oh, they disrespectful, they talk back, they got this, that, because they don't have positive role models, and we're not doing what we need to do. We're doing, as adults, most adults are doing what they want to do because nobody wants to grow the hell up. No, let's just be truthful about it. Nobody want to grow up. Nobody don't want to take accountability. Nobody don't like responsibility. You know, I had did a post about um what's his name, Lucci, being, I'm glad he finally turned some stuff in, but how he killed this person, and I put us to see, nobody can say it's systematic oppression that caused this. And then some a gentleman, he posted um up under my comment, replied rather, should say, to my comment. I mean, commented under my post that everything bad that black people do, I don't know if he said black people, black men, I can't remember verbatimly, is because of systematic oppression in America. And I'm just like, no. And I told him, I said, I politely and respectfully disagree, because jealousy, anger, um, bitterness, murdering, that was happening before the systematic oppression came into play. Let's just be realistic. People's that these different excuse me, attitudes and energies didn't come after systematic oppression. It was there before then. Because if we're going to use that as an excuse, then if any of these people who are systematically oppressed, or that's saying they're affected by systematic oppression, kills anybody in your family, robs you or kill you, rape you, or your daughter, even if you're a man being raped men, sure, then don't call the police. Don't seek revenge. Don't seek justice. Blame it on systematic oppression. As a matter of fact, let's just get rid of the whole police. Let's get rid of policing altogether. And anything that's happened, anybody that does something, we can say, oh, it's systematic oppression. No, it's choices, it's decisions. But I'm going to go ahead and play this commercial. This is TBIG LLC warehouse, wholesale warehouse out in Douglasville, Georgia. The prices are really, really worth the drive. Depending on where you're at in Atlanta or in Georgia, it's worth the drive. So I would strongly advise and recommend this place to anybody.
Looking for great deals on toilet paper, sodas, beverages, snacks for the children and company or body products? Go to TBIG LLC, located at 3745 Kings Highway, Suite DC in Douglasville, Georgia 30135 to check out their full inventory. Hours of operation is Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and they're closed from Sunday through Tuesday. Let them know you heard about them from all that.
Yes, guys, that was. Thank you for watching the commercials. Um, yeah, we're gonna have to continue this. I guess I'm going to be doing a part three and a part four more than likely. I was trying to avoid that, but I'm going to have to at least a part three to kind of like bring it all in. But yeah, the history of misogynism goes so much deeper, and it has literally shaped the foundation and the essence of the laws in the world. Because like we say realistically, pretty much in every nation, the laws that are in those nations, for those nations, were not created by women but by men. And that's just we have to face that reality. And for men, I don't want men to feel like I'm bashing them or trying to belittle them, because it's not that what I'm doing, especially having a son. I want, in having godsons, I have a lot of godsons, Lord, all of them taller than me except for maybe about one or two, but they all taller than me. So even my son, he's taller than me. But I don't want this bad pattern to continue, because we have the power to break bad habits and bad patterns. It's up to us to be that anchor and to be that, be that that tool and that resource to bring about change. As I say, be the change you want to see. I've been saying that for the longest, and all of a sudden I be seeing Facebook gonna start saying be the change. I've been saying that. I got that slogan copyrighted several years ago. Be the change you want to see. But anyway, yeah. So it's just like we have a choice, and I don't want men to feel like they don't have a choice, because I think a lot of times we as women, we can, and I won't even say women, but society as a whole, we forget, we can easily forget that there are challenges out there for men too, and battles out there for men that have been forced into a way of believing and thinking that they didn't ask to be forced into. They didn't ask for it. But again, even when you learn, once you learn better, you still have the responsibility to do better. It's just as if, like, say, if a friend told you to do something and you found out it was something wrong, or that the person didn't want you to do that, what do? You'd be like, man, I can't do that again. You make a conscious decision and choice not to do it no more, because you know that it's wrong. So it's the same way when it comes to things that you've been taught by misogynism. Now, of course, it's not going to be just that simple and that easy, but it's what you're willing to do. So if it's something that you're willing to do, then it'll come easy for you to do it. It won't seem like a task. You will see it as a way of the betterment of your self being, of your self worth, of you as a person, and you will also see it as a way of growth. You will see it as a way of advancing in life, of having higher standards. And when you have higher standards, then you can demand higher standards. You can demand a woman equality, or even a job or career. Business associates. You can then put yourself in a position where you can honestly say that you earned it, and that that you're deserving of it. So that I don't want men to feel like they're being attacked, but it is a energy that has been imposed upon men for generations and for centuries, that a lot of men don't. I don't even think a lot of men have really just sat back and thought about it. I don't know any men that have really just sat back and not any men that I know have really just sat back and thought about the history of misogynism and how it has shaped and molded the thought process and the idealism of what a man is and what manhood is, as a result of misogynistic people who created these laws and had these little so-called rules and ideas and concepts and beliefs and things of that nature. So I'm gonna get ready to conclude. I thank you guys so much for watching. I am over by 5 minutes right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and conclude. But make sure you guys get your live stream ads. You go to the website www.cheenllc, and you can get your go ahead and get your ad in. Also, please don't forget about my Gloves On campaign, advocating for those with chronic illnesses and diseases. If you want to sponsor, you can. You can go to PayPal, or you can just go through the website. It's easier to just go through the website because you get a chance to get more information, detailed information. But if you just want to make a donation through PayPal, you can at paypal.me/ZHEENLLC. Um, Also, if you want to do it through Cash App, I do have business Cash App too. So that's the difference. There's a personal Cash App and then there's a business Cash App. I have the business Cash App. So you can go on to and put in my Cash App tag, $ZHEENLLC, and you can make a donation that way as well if you like. But ultimately, if you just want to get full detail about um, the Gloves On campaign and see and have access, direct access to the petition and be able to, sign up if you want to be a T player member for on my advocacy T Gloves On campaign advocacy mission team, then by all means feel free to do that. But without further ado, for to go ahead and I'm going to play this last commercial, which is going to be commercial for your excuse me, for the ads, the the live stream ads. And please remember, I do, if you need services like press kit, if you want interviews, if you need you need a branding. I'm a brand ambassador as well. I do hosting for events, galas. I'm also a invigorated speaker. That's why it's invigorated with no distinction. I'm a invigorated speaker. I'm on people call them motivated speakers. I say invigorated speaker because it combines all types of speakers in that one. But yeah, and my life story is very very interesting. I put it to you that way. I've been through a lot, and I will say that my mom and I were going to be coming together next month or either March, and we're going to be. We got a series that we started. It's called Bleeding Out the Band-Aids, and what that is a lot of times people experience so much trauma growing up as children, like our parents, the stuff that I found that my mom went through, was so heartbreaking. And I start understanding why she made the choices and decisions that she made and why her thought process was the way it was um, when she was raising me and my siblings, and, why certain things happen. And once you start understanding that, you can start healing. And when you start healing, you can start mending the broken bridges, and you can start developing the kind of relationship that you wanted to have with that family member. But you have to be 100% honest and transparent. And I know it's not comfortable and it's not easy. So for my mom to agree to do this with me, I was just like, wow, I was really overwhelmed emotionally, even still now, just thinking about it, because what she went through, she's a courageous woman. And for her to, even with all that she was dealing with, she could have given us up for adoption. She could have just given up. She could have just walked away, but she did it. Okay, I'm getting too emotional. Let me play this commercial. And you guys take care. God bless. One little piece. And I'm out like a light. And thank you for your support.